So let's go ahead and get started by jumping into our virtual adventures for kids through ZooMontana with Jeff the Nature Guy.
All right, so hey, I'm so excited to be here, you guys. This is so exciting. I can't wait to tell you about the zoo, but even more importantly, I cannot wait to tell you about the incredible animals that we have. One thing I want to mention, how Kasey just talked about having this recorded. We'll work with her to make sure we can get this on our YouTube page as well, so we can actually have it in multiple places that you can find this recording.
Perfect. Sounds good. Awesome. So let's just do a really quick start off. You probably know what a zoo is, but you might not know what Austin Adventures is. So I'm just going to give you a really quick rundown of who Austin Adventures is. First of all, as I said earlier, I'm Kasey Austin, president of Austin Adventures, and our company creates guided active vacations for families like yours. So these are vacations where you get to go hiking, biking, horseback riding, whitewater rafting. You get to sleep in nice hotels every night, and you get to have a full belly while you're going. We feed you a lot of good food. So that's kind of what we do. Our company's family owned and operated. And just like you, I'm also stuck at home right now, and I'm coming to you live from my home office. All right, so we're gonna be embarking on these virtual adventures Thursdays at 2:00 p.m. Eastern time. So we hope you'll join us weekly. If you're on this week, then I hope to see you next week as well. All right. And just as a quick recap of what we did the last couple of weeks, we did go to Alaska last week. And then the week before that, we went to Yellowstone. And like Jeff and I were talking about a little bit earlier, these are recorded. So if you do like this presentation and you want to go back and see a couple of others that we've done, or not Jeff and I guess just me in the last couple, you can go check out Alaska. You can go check out Yellowstone virtually on our website. Okay. And I don't know. I mean, enough about me talking. I think what we should do next, Jeff, is we should show these guys a really cool video of ZooMontana and what awesome animals are located at the zoo.
Let's do it.
So while I let this just set up for a second, I just wanted to let all of you know that you're going to see some of your favorite animals who call the zoo home here in Billings in this video. And I just wanted to let you know, as you're watching this thing, I just wanted to let you know how much I don't work at the zoo. Jeff is the director, so he gets to work there every day. But I love this place so much. In fact, I actually got married at the zoo a few years ago. Yeah, how fun is that? There were wolves everywhere. There were bears. We got to go walk around the zoo while my husband and I were getting married. So how fun is that? The zoo has a very special place in my heart. So I'm so glad that Jeff and I get to join up today and share some of our favorite things about the zoo with you and some of Jeff's favorite animals. So, and if you're watching this video, why don't you just type into the Q&A what your favorite animal is. Mine's a grizzly bear, and you'll see it featured in this video, but I want to know what your favorite animal is, and I'll shout a few of these out towards the end of the video, okay? So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Wow, that is awesome.
Really
What a
cool.
neat video. Yeah, showcasing all those awesome animals. I just wanted to share with you, Jeff, a couple of animals that people just love.
Okay.
Some of them are at your zoo, some aren't.
Okay.
But I see that Mary Cook, her favorite animal is a chicken. You got any of those?
We do have chickens, and I love them too.
We have Chris saying that he loves skunks.
Okay.
I don't know that we have any of those at the zoo.
The stinky animals need love too, Kasey. Come on.
How about, let's see, a bald eagle. That's Ryder's favorite.
Okay. We have those, of course.
Yep. And giraffe is Phyllis's favorite.
Ooh, we do not have those.
Those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we have some people who can't even decide. Holly said that she loves dolphins, foxes, or grizzly bears.
Ooh, fantastic. We have the grizzly bears.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for answering so many answers here that I am trying to go through. And wow, a lot of you have tons of favorite animals. So we'll keep moving along. I do want Jeff to be able to answer here. Who is Jeff? You know, he's not this grizzly bear that's showing in the picture. It's this guy that's in the video next to me. But I want Jeff, the nature guy, to introduce himself and what ZooMontana is all about. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and the place that you get to go to work every day?
Absolutely, and a lot of people do, you know, they confuse me with a grizzly bear because of this giant beard that I've gotten since I'm stuck inside so much lately. But guys, I am so excited to be here today, and thank you to Kasey and Austin Adventures for doing these awesome webinars. If you haven't seen them before, you are in for a real treat. And you know, Kasey and I always fight with each other, who's got the best job. I get to come and work with animals every day. She gets to travel the world, see some amazing things. It's a toss-up, and I know we're always arguing back and forth. So I think I do, she thinks she does, that's okay. But as you heard, my name is Jeff the Nature Guy, and I am the director of ZooMontana. We are a tiny little zoo in Billings, Montana, but we have a heart that's bigger than you can imagine. What we love to do at ZooMontana is we love to bring animals in for 3 reasons. Number 1, we bring in animals that people think is they think it's a good idea to have as a pet. And a crazy example is that animal you see on the screen right there, that big bear right there, that's Bruno, our grizzly bear. Can you believe somebody had him in their backyard in a little dog crate? Crazy. Not a good idea. You don't want to have a grizzly bear in your backyard. So obviously he needed a place to live, so we brought him in. So we get a lot of animals here like that. Ex-pets people shouldn't have. They got to find a good home for. That's number 1. Number 2, we bring a lot of animals into us that are injured in some way, or animals that cause trouble. So I know, Kasey, you spend a lot of time in Yellowstone. You know there's a lot of grizzly bears in Yellowstone. Well, sometimes those grizzly bears get themselves into trouble. They get into people's campsites and into picnic baskets and into things they shouldn't get into. And the police of the animal world, they say, you better not do that anymore, and they move the bear way up into the woods. But if that bear keeps coming back and causing problems, that's it for that bear. And so that bear has got to find a new place to live, and it cannot be in the wild. And then that's when they come to us. And we also have some animals that were hit by cars, things like that. And then number 3, we have animals here that are part of a breeding program. What does that mean? That means we make sure that if they have babies, they are part of this big group of animals around the world that keep their genetics, like their insides, keeps their genetics pure. So if we have to one day re-release animals into the wild to repopulate a population, we can do so. Black-footed ferrets here in North America are a great example of that. All the black-footed ferrets that were out in the wild were actually brought into one place, one zoo, and they were then bred, so we got more babies, and they were re-released back into the wild, strengthening their wild numbers, so they didn't go extinct. So those are the reasons why we have the animals here at the zoo. But we love showcasing animals that are found on the 45th parallel of Earth. What does that mean? Find yourself a globe, put your finger on Montana, on the United States, spin that globe, and anything that's on that line or above that line, that's where our animals here at the zoo come from. We have a few exceptions, but most of our animals come from that northern area. So they're animals that can tolerate the crazy winter that we have here in Montana. And Kasey, I know you know all about our winters here. Sometimes they're not always fun. Like this weekend, we got more snow coming. It's just crazy. But our animals love the snow, and they do very, very well. So there's a little introduction for you about ZooMontana. We love our little zoo.
Awesome. Yeah, we do love our zoo here. It's great. And a lot of you probably have zoos near you too. So we are big supporters of any zoos, especially AZA accredited ones, right, Jeff?
Yeah, we just got the accreditation. We are working 8 long years to get accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And really what that means, guys, it means that we're doing everything right. We're making sure our animals are as well cared for as they can be. We're making sure that the grounds are safe for you to visit. There's so many things that go into it. And there's only 238 zoos in the world that are accredited by AZA. So it's a pretty special bunch to be a part of, something we're really proud of here.
Awesome. Yeah, congratulations on that. That's really exciting. So awesome, guys. So I think we're going to move on here, and we are just going to start thinking about what our first animal is going to be that Jeff is going to introduce us to, okay? So with Jeff's awesome introduction, I do want you guys to start thinking about, what could our first animal be? We do have a hint here on the screen, and I'm going to add a couple more in right now. So we have, this animal has rose-hued hair. What could it be? Any guesses so far? I see a few coming in. Maybe a monkey? Could it be a monkey? A cheetah? Let's see. I have 8 legs. That might narrow it down a little bit.
That might help.
And let's see what the last one is. Some people are scared of me, and maybe they really shouldn't be.
We get any good guesses coming in?
Let's take a look. We have, Riley is thinking maybe a red panda. Oh, we got, let's see, a bunch of people thinking it's some sort of spider now.
Okay.
For sure. Yep, definitely. I think we're definitely in the spider realm here with something with 8 legs. Yeah. Good job, everyone. Oh, we got someone asking if it's a tarantula. Allison thinks maybe it's a tarantula.
All right. Should we stop the suspense and show everybody what we're looking at?
I think we should. And you know what I'm going to do, Jeff? I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
So that I can make you a little bit bigger.
All right.
And I'm going to spotlight your video so that you're showing up nice and big to people so that they can see what you're about to introduce.
All right, get ready. It's going to pop it from the screen below me. Here we go, everybody. Oh my goodness gracious. Everybody, those that hit tarantula, you got it right on the head. Nice job. Now, before I talk about this beauty right here, her name is Taboo. She's what we call a rose-haired tarantula. I want to introduce those hands that you're seeing there. I've got an unbelievable helper here today. Her name is Miss Katie, and she is in charge of our entire education program here at the zoo. She is unbelievable at her job, doing some cool stuff. Check out the zoo's Facebook page because she's got a lot of cool material on there for all of you to check out. So thank you to Katie for helping me out. Now, back to this beauty. That tarantula, oh my gosh. Now, I know what everybody out there's thinking. You're thinking, holy moly, Miss Katie is crazy for holding this thing. Well, listen, she's not, well, maybe she's a little crazy, but she's not crazy for holding the tarantula because everybody out there thinks that tarantulas, they're going to bite you, you're done for. Well, guess what? It's not true. In fact, we don't know of any tarantula bites that have ever killed a human being. It just doesn't happen. Their venom just isn't strong enough to affect a human being. So if Katie were to be bit by this tarantula right now, not gonna lie, it's gonna hurt her. And you're gonna see her go, ooh, it's gonna be like a bee sting. And I know a lot of you out there have probably been stung by bees before. It is not a pleasant thing to have happen. It hurts, and it swells, and it itches when it heals. That's what's gonna happen with her. But her venom just isn't strong enough, again, to affect a human being, so you don't have to worry about having a tarantula kill you at night if you live in an area that has tarantulas. Now, here in Montana, we don't have tarantulas. We have some big spiders called wolf spiders, but nothing quite this big here. Now, a couple things I want to talk about these spiders that I love. So you guys all know, of course, reptiles, when they grow, they shed their skin. Well, did you know that the tarantula does the same thing? But she does it a little bit different. She actually does something called molting. And so what will happen is when she's ready to grow, she's going to flip on her back. And honestly, it's going to look like she's dead. And it's going to freak us out. But as we take a closer look, we're going to see some movement. And then all of a sudden, she's going to pop out of her skin, her exoskeleton, be a new spider. And right next to her is going to be her molt. Look at that's her molt. So that's the skin that she popped out of. How crazy is that? It's so cool. And so if you ever see a tarantula on its back, don't assume it's dead. It's probably just getting some new skin or a new exoskeleton, because that's what covers a spider. Their bones essentially are on the outside of their body. It's the best way I can describe it. The inside, it's really gooey, a lot of creamy middle inside of those bugs. Yeah. So that's what they do. They pop out of that skin. Just such a cool thing. Now, the other thing I want to talk about these guys is one of their defense mechanisms. So obviously a tarantula, they have fangs, and that's how they're going to kill their food. But before they bite you, they have another defense mechanism that they're going to want to do first, because they don't want to bite you if they don't have to. It's going to take a lot to get a tarantula to bite. What they do is they can rub the hairs, and you can see on the back of her body, right where my finger's at, she can take her back legs and rub those hairs off the back of her body there, and those hairs float through the air, and they get stuck in your skin, maybe in your eyes, and it's like fiberglass. If you've ever touched fiberglass, little shards of glass get stuck in your skin, and it hurts, it itches, it causes a rash. Her hair works the same way. It gets stuck in your skin, it itches, it causes a rash, and what happens is in the animal world, when she does that, if you're an animal that wants to eat her, and you get really close and try to chew her, well, the thing is, she's going to rub those hairs off. Those hairs are going to get in your eye, and you're going to be rubbing your eyes to run away. Well, of course, she's going to run away as you're doing that and be nice and safe. In fact, you can see she does have a little bald spot on her abdomen. So at some point in the last couple months, something spooked her in her home, and she rubbed those hairs off. So that is something that they do to defend themselves, which is just fascinating when you ask me. Now, I love to gross people out, and this is my favorite thing about spiders and tarantulas. When they eat their food, she's going to use those fangs that she has, and you can't really see them in the picture. They're right in the front there. She'll bite that animal, inject the venom into the animal, and what happens is that venom turns the inside of that animal that eats into goo, into like slime. And then she will then go in and suck out the insides of that animal. Oh, how cool is that? So they essentially drink their food. Oh, the neatest thing I've ever heard. I just think that's so cool. So all spiders will do that, and that's how they actually eat their food, which is pretty amazing. One final thing about tarantula, the name tarantula. Where in the world does it come from? It's thought that way back when people were bit by tarantulas, they really believed that if they danced like crazy, they would actually dance the venom out of their body, and that dance at the time was called the tarantella, hence the name tarantula. How about that for a piece of trivia, huh? That is pretty awesome stuff. But anyway, Chilean rose-haired tarantula found in Chile, South America. The other thing is this is not the biggest tarantula in the world by far. She's a pretty good sized animal, but the biggest belongs to the Goliath bird-eating tarantula. When you're done today, look that up because they are an impressive spider. Honestly, the body of it, maybe a little bit smaller than my fist. I mean, about the size of a dinner plate. They are big spiders that actually eat birds and bats and lizards and things like that. I mean, so you're talking, yeah, crazy. You're talking big prey at them. So anyway, Taboo, the Chilean rose-haired tarantula, and her 8 eyes, along with her 8 legs.
Wow. I think you know a few facts about tarantulas, Jeff.
I love tarantulas, Kasey. They're one of my favorites.
We had so many comments coming in of people going, ew, that's so scary. Other people saying they absolutely love tarantulas and spiders, and oh my gosh, so
you know what's funny too? Miss Katie just told me that she's not a big fan of spiders, but because Taboo is so nice, she doesn't mind holding her because she is such an easygoing spider. So.
Ah, okay.
Even people that work with animals have fears. You know, I always like to tell people, and people laugh at me because I'm in Montana. One of the animals I'm most afraid of, you're going to laugh, everybody, horses. They terrify me.
That is a random fact I did not know about, Jeff.
Yeah, it is. I don't know
That's
what it
awesome.
is. I love them. I think they're beautiful animals, but they scare me to death.
Oh my gosh. So I just want to ask our audience really quick, does anyone have any other questions about tarantulas? I had a couple that I saw come in while Jeff was talking that I'm going to start off with here. And then as soon as I get done with these questions, we'll jump into a poll to see if you guys learned anything about tarantulas today. Okay? So the first question I saw come in, Jeff, is from Lauren, and she's asking, are tarantulas the only animals you have today?
No, we've got more. We've got 3 other animals, and they're only going to get bigger and well, I don't want to say cooler because that tarantula is pretty cool, but stay tuned. You got some good ones coming. Don't worry.
Awesome. And Leah is asking, how long do they live? You might have went over this, but I can't remember either. How long do those guys live?
Yeah, so a rose-haired tarantula is going to go, quote me if I'm wrong, Katie, about 5 to 10 years. Huh? 25. Oh, 25. I'm sorry, I'm completely wrong. You got me. So yeah, males can live 5 years, and females can go about 20 years, which is pretty crazy. That's longer than I thought. I did not know that. You stumped Jeff the nature guy.
Great question, then.
That's the best thing about this job, by the way, is we're always learning. We really are, and I love it.
Oh, yeah, seriously.
5 that's crazy.
That's amazing. So I've had a couple of people ask, and I just see it from Beth right now. Does the hair that they lose ever grow back?
Yeah, so what happens is when they do their molt that I was talking about, their shed, so basically when they crawl out, they're a completely new spider. And all that hair on the back of the abdomen there is gonna be returned once they molt out.
Ah, okay, gotcha. I think we talked a little bit about how big tarantulas can get. Can you just go over really quick again? What's the biggest a tarantula can get?
Yeah, so the biggest, so they can be small, little tiny ones like the pink-toed tarantula. They're small little things, all the way to the Goliath bird-eating tarantula. And that one, they're huge. Literally about the size of my fist, their back, their abdomen, and then they can span about a dinner plate. I mean, they're giant spiders. We used to have here at the zoo a long time ago, but she sadly passed away.
Oh, wow. Okay. And Kinley wants to know, are there any types of tarantulas that can hurt or kill you?
Yeah, so they can all hurt you. You know, like I said, it's going to be like a bad bee sting. It's not going to feel good, and some are worse than others. But as of now, we don't know of any tarantulas that have ever killed anybody. Again, you're not going to want to hang out with them and pester them so they bite you because you'll feel it. But as for killing people, we don't know of any that have killed anybody around the world. Tarantulas, it has. Now, spiders, there are spiders that can kill you.
Gotcha. Wow. Oh my gosh, I have so many people. Vicky wants to know, how old is the tarantula that you guys have, and will it grow anymore?
Yeah, so Taboo is, gosh, we've had her now for 8 years, and we don't know how old she was when she came to us because she was an ex-pet. But I'd venture to say she's probably 10 to 12 years old, in that range there. So she's up there, and she's not going to get much bigger, maybe a tiny, next time she molts, maybe she'll be a little bit bigger, but nothing that you're going to notice.
Okay. All right, I'm going to finish off with one final question. I don't know if you'll know this one or not, but Molly and Jack want to know, how many eggs do they lay?
Oh, that's a good question. So they lay an egg sac that is usually filled with spiderlings. And in a tarantula, I want to say there's probably, I don't even know, I'm going to say, I would say, yeah, 10 to 30 eggs or spiderlings in that egg sac. On the rose-haired tarantula, I'm not 100% certain, but usually it's in that range, 10 to 20. Sometimes you can have over 100 in an egg sac, depending on the spider.
Okay, cool. Nice. And I just have one more because I want to know this one too.
You bet.
Cindy wants to know, how often do these guys molt?
Yeah, good question. So Taboo usually molts 1 to 2 times per year.
Okay, cool. Nice. All right, guys, I could keep going on these questions all day long for Jeff, and he'd probably have answers for every single one of these. But
I got to give credit to Katie, too. She's out there over here answering for me. It's awesome.
Yes, thank you, Katie. You rock. So let's go ahead and get started with our first poll. So I'm going to launch this thing here. You should be seeing a poll come up on your screen any minute. And what's going to happen is you're just going to go in and answer some of these questions. So I'll go over them first. I know that Zoom has had a lot of people on here lately, so maybe it might not show up on your screen. I don't know, but I see that some people are answering, so that's a good sign. But I'll just read the answers out loud. So if you can't see the poll for some reason, answer in the Q&A box. But if you can see the poll, just answer inside the poll, all right? So the first question is, true or false? Tarantulas are deadly to humans. Is that true or false? All right. The second question is going to be, what is the tarantula's strange defense mechanism? Is it dancing? Is it screaming? Ah! Is it karate chopping? Or is it rubbing its hairs into the air? I do remember going over that one. And the third question is, what is the shedding of a tarantula's skin called? Is it called shedding? Is it called casting? Is it molting? Or is it just plain nasty? Maybe it's a couple of those. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, right.
Awesome. I'm going to give you guys about, let's say 15 seconds left to vote. So just keep thinking on those. I know Jeff went over all of these at one point or another.
Tough questions.
They are. Looks like we have a majority of people getting them right, though. I'm watching these things.
I love it.
These answers coming in.
You're learning and you don't even know it. I love it.
Awesome. All right, guys, it looks like most of you have answered, so I am going to end the polling. And I don't know if the share results is going to actually share with you or not. We were kind of having some issues with this earlier. So if they're not showing up on your screen, I'll just read out loud what people's answers were, the majority of people. So it looks like for that first one, tarantulas are deadly to humans. Most people said that is false, and that is a good answer. That is correct. And Jeff, if you have any more comments you want to throw in here, feel free.
Sure, yep, yeah, you're good.
All right, so number 2 was, what is the tarantula's strange defense mechanism? And that one was rubbing its hairs into the air. We did talk a lot about that one and the fact that the hairs do grow back and all that fun stuff too. Okay.
I'm a little disappointed nobody thought karate chopping. I mean, I thought the thought of a spider karate chopping is pretty cool.
Same here, although it'd be a little freaky.
Yeah, you're right.
And what is the shedding of a tarantula's skin called? And ding, 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 the correct answer was molting, which most of you got. So good job.
Nice work, everybody.
Yeah. So we have put Mr., or I guess it's Mrs., is it a Mr. or Mrs.?
Yeah, Mrs. Taboo.
Okay, we've put Mrs. Tarantula away. I'm gonna stop sharing the results now. And we are going to go on to our next animal. We're gonna guess what it is first. So let me just move on to our next screen here. All right, so if some of you wanna start putting your guesses into the box, I'll read off of a few of them, okay? So let's see, we have, I am a reptile. That is your first hint. That looks reptilian in the little picture there. So
that looks like it has a little mustache too.
Yeah, right. I have no legs.
Well, that makes it a little easier, doesn't it?
Yes. And then I can grow up to 13 feet long.
Oh.
Wow, that's a big one, whatever it is. What could that be? All right, I'm going to start answering some of these. So we have a lot of kids answering snake right now. I'm thinking they're probably feeling what we're going to be introducing here soon. We had someone, let's see, Sandra thought maybe a python.
Okay.
Okay. We have, anyone have a guess of a certain kind of snake we might be introducing? Wow, we have, there's like 800 answers here of snake.
I love it.
We have Monty Python.
Oh, we should have made that call, made them come in.
Maggie's thinking maybe it's a cobra.
Okay.
Okay. Riley is guessing a corn snake. Allison's guessing an anaconda. Beth thought maybe a rattlesnake. Some good ones coming in. Oh, Luke is wondering if it's a red-tailed boa constrictor.
Whoa! Well, should we show it?
We probably should, yeah.
Luke, you get the award for the day. It is a Colombian red-tailed boa constrictor. Look at that. This is Jenkins, everybody. What a cutie. And before I talk about Jenkins the snake, I want to talk about Miss Katie and her mask, why she has that on. Because she's working with different animals, as we all know, we have this virus out there, right? And recently, there was a tiger in New York City that did get the virus. So because of that, we are taking extreme measures here at the zoo to make sure that none of our animals get it. And we don't even know what animals can get it. We know tigers can. But we want to be sure that we're safe in wearing our mask around to ensure that our animals are safe during this whole crisis. So that's why she's wearing the mask. Back to the snake. How cool, right? This is Jenkins, as I said, the Colombian red-tailed boa constrictor, a good-sized animal. Now, first, so many things to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is its tongue. You might see her tongue coming out. You're probably thinking she's being mean, sticking its tongue out at you. And don't worry, Kasey, she's not being mean. She's smelling. Yeah, they smell with their tongue. It's so cool. So they stick their tongue out of their mouth. They get all the different smells in the air that's stuck on their tongue. They put their tongue back in their mouth. And on the roof of their mouth, there's two little holes like a plug, and it plugs its forked tongue into those holes. And it's called the Jacobson's organ, and it tells his brain what it is he's smelling. And the reason he's smelling right now is she wants to make sure nobody out there is going to eat her, and she wants to make sure she can't eat any of you. But don't worry, she can't eat any of you. That is the biggest misperception about snakes, is that they're automatically going to chase you down and they're going to eat you. Well, listen, not going to happen with the red-tailed boa constrictor. Even though she's big, she's still too small to eat a human being. So there's no worry about that with her. She's going to eat things like maybe a rat, maybe if she's lucky a bunny, a rabbit, maybe a bird like a quail, something like that. That's what she's going to take down. But let me tell you how they eat, because this is so cool. So what she's going to do is, say she finds a little rabbit that she wants to eat. I know, sad for the rabbit, but good for her. She's going to take that rabbit, and she's going to see it, and she's going to reach out, she's going to grab it. Now, there are two ways that snakes kill their food. One is they bite you and put venom into you. Or two, they give you a big old hug, and they squeeze you to death. It's not a good hug, believe me. So this one here, as a boa constrictor, there's a hint in the name, she's a squeezer, not a biter. So she's going to find that rabbit, she's going to grab it, she's going to pull that rabbit into her body, and she's going to wrap around that rabbit. Every time that rabbit takes in a breath of air, she's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter until that rabbit can't breathe anymore, and that rabbit's done for. Now, this is where it gets crazy cool. She's going to take that dead rabbit, she's going to come back around, and she's going to open her mouth really, really wide. Miss Katie says, I have a big mouth. You should see her mouth, the snake's mouth. I mean, we're talking huge. And she can open her mouth so wide, she can swallow that whole rabbit in one gulp. So how big can she open her mouth? Well, you and I, those of you watching, if we were able to open our mouth as big as a snake could, in comparison to our bodies, we'd be able to actually swallow a basketball. You imagine swallowing a basketball? You could eat the whole Thanksgiving turkey in one sitting. How awesome would that be? So she'll swallow that rabbit whole, and this is where it's cool, guys. Then she'll take her mouth, and she'll move her mouth back and forth, and that'll pull the rabbit down into its throat. And then people always say, how does she not choke on that big rabbit in her throat? Well, listen to this. She can take her windpipe, stick it out of the side of her mouth like a snorkel. Kasey, I know you've been snorkeling a lot in life. She can stick that snorkel out and breathe out of her little windpipe out of the side of her mouth so she doesn't choke as she's eating that animal. It's awesome. And then you can see that rabbit going down her body, getting smaller and smaller as she digests it. That is one cool way.
Now, Jeff, did you know scientists have recently studied about how they actually kill their food? So they used to think it was suffocation,
yes.
breathing and breathing and not being able to breathe anymore.
Right.
But their prey was dying too fast. So they did studies and they realized that when they were squeezing, they're disrupting the blood flow to the heart and creating a heart attack. So they actually die faster.
Yeah.
Which is, not great for the money, but it's better than dying a slow death.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but if I'm being squeezed by a snake, I would sure hope that my body says, let's end this now, and let's just get it over with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's essentially what's happening.
Exactly.
I love it. What a cool thing. Crazy. And that's the thing, guys, is that research just recently came out, which shows that even the best scientists out there still don't understand a lot of these animals. And so, again, we're always learning, which I just think is the coolest thing. Now, I want to tell you a sad story really quick. And I don't like sad stories, but I got to tell it to you. That's why Miss Jenkins is with us. Remember I told you that we get animals in that were ex-pets? Well, that's Miss Jenkins. But the problem was Miss Jenkins wasn't cared for very well. We think the person that had her was afraid of snakes. Why in the world they had a snake, I don't know. But the point is, they weren't real keen on her. And so what would happen is they would put her in a small cage. They'd leave her. She was in her waist all the time. But the worst part was there was a heat lamp or a heating element, something that heated up the tank that she was in underneath the tank. Well, the problem is they never checked that heat. It got really hot. She had no place to go, and she got burned. Terrible. So look at this. Can you see that right where my finger's at? That is actually a scar from her burns. And so when she came to us, the Humane Society was so wonderful at rescuing her, brought her to us, and when she came to us, those burns were terrible. They were in bad shape. And so we actually had to, and Miss Katie was a big part of this, we actually had to treat her every day and treat that burn so it would heal. And it took a long time for her to heal. But I'm happy to say she's healed, and she is one of the best boa constrictors we've ever had. Just super calm, super easygoing. It's such a great animal for us to have here, which is really neat. Now, the other question I always get about snakes, gross. I don't ever want to touch one because they're slimy. That is not true. They are not slimy at all. They're dry and smooth. What happens is the lights, they reflect off her scales, and it makes it look like she's wet. But she's not wet. Again, she's very dry and very smooth, which makes her look like she's wet. Kind of a cool thing. One of my favorite animals, guys. I absolutely love snakes. And here in Montana, we've got quite a few different species. None quite as big as the Colombian red-tailed boa constrictor. South America, if there's anybody from South America, I love your country or your continent because you guys have incredible animals down there, and snakes are just everywhere there, and I love it. So cool. That's all I got for you on snakes.
Wow. Again, a lot on snakes. That's awesome. So I have a couple of questions here that are coming in, Jeff.
You bet.
So how long does it take, Michael wants to know this, how long does it take a snake to digest something like a rabbit or something like that?
Yeah, so small prey. So at the zoo, we feed Jenkins here. She gets big rats, and we feed her every week. And it takes a little less than a week for her to digest that rat. Now, I will say some of those big snakes out there, like the anacondas and the giant rock pythons and Burmese pythons, they could eat something like a small wildebeest or a gazelle or something like that, or a big pig. It might take them upwards of a year to actually digest that food before they actually go out and find another prey item. So some of those big snakes can go a year or so between meals, which is just crazy. But a typical snake, you're looking at a little less than a week.
Okay, cool. And Vicky wants to know, how many times a year do they shed their skin?
Yeah, so Jenkins here, because she's getting a healthy diet and she's doing well, she sheds usually, I was going to say about, 4 to 5 times a year.
Okay. Gotcha.
And, and I wanted to mention, I don't know if you were, we haven't put the picture up yet, but when the picture of the of the Burmese python comes up a little bit later, you might notice that her eye looks gray. And so that's how we can tell that a snake is getting ready to shed. I think it's coming up.
Mm-hmm. Coming up now. There we go.
Yeah, so see that picture there on your left-hand side of her sleeping there. Notice how her eye looks gray. We call it going blue. That's how you can tell a snake is getting ready to shed, because they actually shed the layer over their eye as well. And that's the first sign that they're getting ready to shed. We don't mess with her when she's getting ready to shed, because when she's got that gray over her eyes, she's essentially blind. She can't really see really well, and so she can be pretty defensive during that time period. But yeah, so what they'll do is they'll shed, and they will literally crawl right out of their skin. Now, this is actually from our Sonora gopher snake. Actually, I think this is a wild bull snake found here on the zoo. But they will literally crawl out of their skin, eye caps and all. It's pretty amazing to watch.
Wow, that is amazing. Cool. And Nathan wants to know, what species of snakes live in Montana?
Yeah, we've got quite a few here. So we've got the bull snake. One of my favorites that we have in Montana is called a rubber boa. It's the only other. We only have 2 boa constrictor species that live in the United States. One of them right here in Montana, again, called the rubber boa. And what's cool about them is they're a cool weather snake that actually lives up in the higher elevations. And so you can see them when it's a little cooler outside. They look like a big, giant, fat worm. They're really neat snakes. We've got garter snakes here. We've got racer racers here. The green racer, beautiful snake. They're a green color. So yeah, we've got quite a few different species here. My favorite's the bull snake. They're the biggest that we have. They're giant, good, long 7-foot snakes that eat a lot of ground squirrels, things like that. Really cool.
Wow, that's amazing.
Oh, and don't forget we have rattlesnakes here, the prairie rattlesnake.
That's true. One of our poisonous ones, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Venomous, Miss Kasey, not poisonous.
Oh, that's a good distinction. Thanks for pointing that out.
So
yes.
Remember, venom has to be put into you. Poisonous, you have to eat it. So if you find a poisonous caterpillar, you could touch, I don't recommend it, but you could touch that caterpillar. But if you eat it, you're going to get sick. But if you eat a venomous snake, you'll be okay. Just don't get bit by them and be injected by the venom.
Whoa, mind blown.
Yeah, don't eat the snake either. And hey guys, I wanted to show you really quick. Look at these teeth. So this is actually from a python. Look at those teeth. Can you see that? Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
So that's how those teeth get stuck in a fur. And that's how the rabbit gets pulled in. Pretty cool.
Wow. Cool. And I just have, there's a bunch more questions here, but I'm just going to ask one more. How old is Jenkins the snake?
So kind of the same situation as with Taboo. When she came to us, we don't know exactly how old she was. Just looking at her size and the fact that she's still growing a little bit, I'd probably say she's 5 or 6 years old, somewhere in that range, but we don't really know.
Okay. Gotcha.
Sometimes that's the problem with getting some of those either injured animals from the wild or these ex-pets. A lot of people, those poor animals have been from person to person, and we just don't have good records on them.
Okay. Gotcha. Nice. All right, guys, there are tons of questions, but I think we're going to ask you our own questions now, which will be part of the poll that I'm going to launch here. So let me get it up on the screen. I'm going to launch it now, and you should be seeing it here pop up momentarily. So I think it's on there. I'm going to start reading the questions out loud. Number 1 is, why is Jenkins the boa at ZooMontana? Let's see. Was he collected in the wild? Was he rescued from a bad private home? Did Jenkins slither to the zoo on her own? Or was she born at the zoo? So which one of those is correct? And I see that some of you aren't seeing the poll for some reason. I apologize if you can't see it, but if you want to just listen to me and then answer, then you can answer in the Q&A box, okay? I think Zoom is having some trouble with their polls these days. There's too many people on these things. All right, so I'll read that one more time and you can answer in the Q&A box. Why is Jenkins the boa at ZooMontana? Was she collected in the wild? Was she rescued from a bad private home? Did she slither to the zoo on her own? Or was she born at the zoo? Which do you think? All right. Looks like a lot of people are getting that one right. Good job on the Q&A. All right, so number 2 question is, true or false? Snakes are slimy. Ugh. Ugh. Is that true or is that false?
It's a tough one.
That's a tough one. Pretty easy to answer though. Don't have to think through too much, just true or false.
Yeah, right. That's the best kind of question. 50-50 shot.
Yep. All right, and this is your 3rd question coming at ya. How does Jenkins the boa kill her prey? Is it A, squeezes her prey? B, bites her prey and injects venom? Ooh. Or C, sings to her prey? Or is it D, throws her prey off of a high shelf? Awesome. Lots of good answers coming in here, guys. So let's just go over these from the get-go. Sorry that poll's not working. I can see that none of you could vote, so that's cool. But we'll just jump on. I see a ton of good answers in the Q&A at least here. So number 1, answer to that question, why is Jenkins the boa at ZooMontana? Would you care to elaborate on that one, Jeff?
You bet. So the answer was B. She was rescued from a home that didn't do a good job of taking care of her.
Yep. So now she's at the zoo, but at least she has a good home now, right?
You bet. Absolutely, she does.
Awesome. And then true or false? Snakes are slimy. What do you say, Jeff?
Although that picture looks like she's wet and nasty slimy, nope, very dry, very smooth. They actually feel really nice.
Nice. I do like the feel of a
amphibians are the
snake.
slimy ones.
That's awesome. All right, and number 3, how does Jenkins the boa kill her prey? What's the answer, Jeff?
So the answer on that one is she squeezes it. And Kasey, you laughed at the pushing off the shelf, but believe it or not, there are animals that have been seen pushing other animals off of cliffs to kill them, to eat them. Golden eagles are known to do that in the mountains here in Montana.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, that's some crazy stuff with those animals, the things that they do to survive.
Yeah. Some pretty smart.
Yep. Awesome, guys. Well, that was our Colombian red-tailed boa constrictor. So let's go on to the next animal. We have 4 today, so this is going to be number 3. So
I'm so excited.
I know Jeff loves this one. So let's see some answers coming in here as I'm going through. What am I? So I'm going to play the sound here in a minute, but let's go through and see what the hints are. So we have my beak is boat-shaped. Okay. My call sounds like a laugh. All right, because I have a few people coming in saying at first they thought maybe it was a hawk, but that might change people's answers a little bit. And I'm known as the Bushman's alarm clock. What could it be? So a lot of people are saying bird. Vicky thinks maybe a duck. Someone said an eagle. Eagle hawk. Okay. Mac thought maybe a mockingbird.
Okay. All good guesses. I love it.
Yeah. Teddy is thinking maybe a woodpecker.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Allison thought albatross.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah, I wish I had an albatross. They're amazing.
Quinn thinks maybe a red-tailed hawk.
Okay.
Okay. And let's see. Aubrey's thinking maybe an osprey.
You want to talk now. Sorry.
Oh, what could that be? I'm going to play the sound over here really quick and give you guys one last hint. Nice. Marla's thinking maybe it's a kookaburra.
You got it. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is Sydney, the laughing kookaburra. And I've obviously, as you just heard, now you know where they get the name from because it sounds like they're laughing. Obviously, this beautiful, beautiful bird and her close-up look. Look at that beak. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But I want you to see her laugh. So she just did. I don't know if we'll get her to laugh again, but we're going to try. So give us a second, and we'll see if she wants to laugh for us. I just love that.
Good job, Sid.
I get excited. I've heard her laugh 20 million times in my life, and I just love it every time. Just great. Now, you're wondering, what in the world is she laughing at? Well, she's probably laughing at us. But in reality, that's a communication tool they use with each other. And in Sydney's case, she does not have a flock of kookaburras. What's funny is we are her flock. So Katie and I, we work with her a lot, and so she kind of accepts us as part of her family. And so that we're able to get her to call or laugh like that because it's the way that she communicates. So just like we talk with our language, she has her own language, which is exactly what she was doing there. And as you said, Kasey, they are called the Bushman's alarm clock in Australia. That's where they're from. And Kasey, have you seen these in person before in Australia?
I don't think we saw one when I've been to Australia, but I've never seen a kookaburra in person,
Yeah,
other than at the zoo.
Yeah, right. So they are called Bushman's alarm clock because they will usually flock together in a tree, and every morning at the same time, they will all call and do that laugh together. In Australia, because of that, because they are the Bushman's alarm clock, a lot of people don't like them because they're loud. And so imagine trying to sleep in on a Sunday morning, and the next thing you know, at 6 a.m., you got 100 of these guys in the tree doing that laugh. Yeah, they're not very well liked sometimes by a lot of people, but they're still an amazing bird. I love them. And let's talk about that big giant beak that she has right there that she's going to poke in my eyeball. She's not going to do that. I'm kidding. That beak, of course, is a weapon. And then she'll use that beak to catch her food, because this bird, even though she's not a giant bird of prey like a hawk or an eagle, she's still a meat eater. She's a carnivore. So she's going to find things to hunt. Now, you hear the word kingfisher, or I'm sorry, you hear the kookaburra is a member of the kingfisher family. In fact, she is the largest member of the kingfisher family. And here in North America, we have the belted kingfisher, a little bit smaller in size. They're going to eat fish, as the name suggests. But the kookaburra, they're a little bit different. They're rebels. So they like to do things different. So they don't eat a lot of fish. These guys are mainly going to eat land-dwelling animals. So things like lizards, snakes, worms, maybe a mouse or two from time to time. That's what she's going to eat. But it's how they eat their food that we love. Because what she's going to do is she's going to find a tasty treat like a lizard. She's going to fly down. She's going to spear that lizard with that beak, and she's going to get it in her mouth. Then, this is where it gets wacky, you guys. She's going to hop to the nearest rock or tree branch. She's going to take that lizard, boom, boom, and she is going to knock it against that rock hundreds of times. And what's going to happen is all the bones inside that lizard's body are going to break. It's brutal for that poor lizard. And that lizard's going to get nice and tender, and then she's going to gulp it down for dinner. She's going to swallow it whole. Why does she do that to that poor lizard? Well, those of you that eat meat, when you eat a steak, you like that steak to be tender. You don't want it to be tough and have to chew it nasty. You want it to melt in your mouth. Well, she does too. She doesn't want to worry about bones breaking her throat and sticking out and all these nasty things. So she breaks the bones to tenderize the meat to make it easier to swallow down, which is pretty cool. Oh, she's going to go poop. There she went. Everybody poops. It happens. Anyway, that is something you're going to see these animals do out in the wild. It is just spectacular. And you can see her right now kind of puffing out her feathers. That's called rousing, and birds will do that when they're comfortable. And she's obviously pretty intrigued watching the TV screen here, checking it out down here and seeing what is going on. But anyway, the Australian laughing kookaburra, one of my faves. And let's make her laugh one more time, see if she wants to do it. I hope you're all smiling, because if that doesn't make you smile, nothing will. That is awesome. A couple other things about her coloration. You can't see it right now, but when she's in the sunlight, she's got a beautiful iridescence on her wings. That's blue, which means you can only see it really in the sunlight or the right light. So you may see some blue on their wings. But if you're lucky enough to go to Australia, look for these guys, because they are relatively common in their neck of the woods. What a neat bird. Can you imagine having that in your backyard? I'd love it. Anybody on there from Australia, you know what I'm talking about. So cool.
I love it. I'm glad you made her laugh a second time, so we probably had 50 people asking if you could make her laugh one more time.
Absolutely. So. Love it.
That's awesome. Allison's wondering, is she an ex-pet, or where did you get her from?
Yeah, so no, we actually got her from another facility. She came to us from actually a decent home, and we adopted her in here from another facility.
Okay, cool. And let's see, I had a bunch of questions in here. Is that usually the color they are? That's what Will wanted to know.
It is. Now, like any animal and really any person, sometimes they can come in some different shades. So they're typically that coloration, but sometimes some might be darker than others. I've seen one before that it was a much darker than she was. But you're generally going to see that typical pattern with that streak through the eye there, that white chin, and then, like I said, usually that iridescence on the wing. But you may see them change just a little bit from time to time. And actually in this picture here, right above my picture, so right above my finger here, if you're seeing the same thing I am, that beak, you notice that little piece of that beak is missing. They actually will shed pieces of their beak normally. And so that's exactly what's happening there, is you'll see birds will shed their beak basically like a snake sheds its skin to essentially regrow and reshape that beak.
Wow. Okay, cool. And I'm going to ask one last question here. Brianna wants to know, how many eggs do the females lay? Do you know that?
Yeah, so usually kookaburras are about 3 to 4 eggs at one time. And what's interesting about birds is that their egg production is really based on the environment at the moment. So what I mean by that is in the world, every year, prey items or food supplies will go up and down. So some years for the kookaburra, the lizards might be really plentiful and there's a lot of food out there. Some years, if there's a drought or maybe too much rain, some of her prey may not be available. And so what's going to happen is their egg production will rely on the food production. So if there's not a lot of prey items one year, she's not going to lay as many eggs because she doesn't have to want to worry about feeding 4 chicks when really she only has enough food for 2. So that's kind of the other thing. And I got to say, and again, more bad news. I hate giving bad news, but a lot of times if food is not plentiful and there are too many chicks, usually one of those chicks, they're not going to make it, and the brother and sister will kick them out of the nest. Sad.
Very sad.
I'm sure some of you may have wanted to kick your brother and sister out of the nest sometimes, right? Kasey,
Especially
I know
as of late.
Yeah, right?
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jeff. Let's go into our questions for you guys, everyone. So let's see how much you learned from Jeff's little talk here. So if you can't see my poll here in about 2 seconds, then I'm going to have you just answer in the Q&A again, okay? So the first question we have for you is, why does Sydney the kookaburra bash her prey against a rock? Is it because she's mean? That's A. B, she's trying to tenderize her food. C, she's playing with her food. Or D, she's trying to knock some sense into her prey. I like these answers. Number 2 is, why do kookaburras laugh? Is it A, because they're goofy? B, because someone told them a great joke? C, to communicate? Or D, they're bullies?
Like,
all right,
she's laughing at you, you know? She's laughing at my goofy beard.
I know, exactly. Number 3, true or false, kookaburras are a member of the kingfisher family. Is that true or false? Okay. So let's just quickly go over the answers. And I'm going to ask these to Jeff, and he's going to answer them for you. Make sure you got them right, okay? See lots of good answers coming in on the Q&A here. So number 1, why does Sydney the kookaburra bash her prey against a rock? Why is that, Jeff?
Well, even though some lizards sometimes need some sense put into them, it's not that. It's to tenderize her food because she doesn't want to have a nasty, rough lizard going down her throat. She wants it to be nice, soft, and gooey.
Okay. And number 2, why do kookaburras laugh?
Well, I will tell you, they are certainly a goofy bird, but that's not why they're doing that. That call is actually a communication tool between other birds, or in our case, humans.
Nice. And my third question for you is, true or false, kookaburras are a member of the kingfisher family?
Surprisingly, that is true.
Nice.
The largest member of the kingfisher family.
Ah, that's right. Awesome. Cool. Well, that was our awesome kookaburra. That laugh is so awesome. I already miss her.
I know, right? I know.
Let's go on to our 4th and final animal, which is going to be the, what could it be?
Another one I'm so excited about.
I want to see some guesses here. So any guesses for what this animal might be, just by looking at this little picture that I have here? It's kind of a interesting shot.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. I have a long sticky tongue is our first clue.
Oh.
Let's see what number 2 is. I'm mostly nocturnal.
I know what that means.
Oh yeah, nocturnal. What does that mean, Jeff?
Come out at night.
Come out at night. Someone guessed, I love this answer from David. Is it corn? Teresa's thinking maybe a chicken. Michelle guessed a lizard.
Now I have a visual of a walking corn cob. That'd be pretty funny.
I know, right? Let's see what the third one is here. My Spanish name means little armored one.
Ooh, armor. Huh.
Huh. Interesting.
Can I give another clue just to throw people off?
What was that?
Can I give another clue to throw people off?
Totally. Please do.
It has a shell.
Ooh, it has a shell. What could that
I
be?
mean, obviously we're talking about a turtle, right?
Obviously. Michael thought maybe a crocodile.
Ooh, that's a good
Oh my
guess.
gosh, we have so many guesses coming in. Oh, but you know what? We have a lot of people guessing that it's an armadillo. Is that correct?
Guess what? Here it comes. It is an armadillo! Look at how cute that little thing is. Oh, I'm going to faint because I'm so excited. Everybody, this is Bandy, our southern or three-banded armadillo. You just saw Katie point out those 3 bands right there. There are other armadillo species out there. I think there's 13 species of armadillo, including one here in the United States. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But look at this critter. Oh, they're so neat. They don't even look real. They're so crazy looking. So when she's walking around, a couple things I want you to notice about her. First of all, these giant nails. She got her nails did. Look at how big those things are. Woo-wee. Now, what in the world are those for? Are they to scrape out her eyeballs? No. She loves to eat bugs and insects. So what's going to happen is she's going to use those big giant claws to dig, as you can imagine. And she loves to eat termites and ants. And so she loves to get up to a termite mound and just dig into that termite mound and lap up those ants and termites. You heard in the clue, she's got a long, sticky tongue, just like her anteater cousin does. She'll slurp those ants or termites right out of the mound for a good, tasty dinner. So that's why those big, giant claws. Kind of looks like she's walking on high heels when she walks, which is just so cool. Now, let's talk about the other obvious thing you're noticing about her, that shell. I was hoping that you'd think I was talking about a turtle because she's a mammal. And so you're thinking to yourself, what mammals have shells? Armadillos. She's got a big shell on her. In fact, all those little scales on her shell, they're made out of the same thing as your hair and your fingernails, called keratin. And she uses that shell as self-defense. So you can imagine if something wants to eat her, she's not very strong. There's not much she can do to defend herself. So the best thing she can do is kind of like a turtle. She can roll up into a ball and be nice and safe as she's running here. She is the only armadillo species in the entire world that can actually roll into a complete ball. So she literally looks like a bowling ball when she rolls up. It is so cool. Now, the weird thing is, you might be thinking, okay, when she's rolled up into a ball, she's safe from most animals. Some animals can open her up. Big cats, like a jaguar, might be able to crunch through her. So there are animals that can't do that. But for the most part, they see this weird ball and they're like, it's not worth it, and they walk away and she's nice and safe. But how does she know that the animal's gone? Well, that's where all these little hairs come in. She's got all these little hairs coming out of the side of her body. Those are almost like sensory hairs, almost like whiskers on a cat. She can actually sense the breath of an animal or the touch of an animal by those hairs. So when she's rolled up into a ball and those are sticking out of her body, she can actually feel if that animal's gone, and she knows it's safe to open up, run away, and become nice and safe. That's a pretty cool little aspect about them. You're going to notice that little nose that she's got poking out there, incredible sense of smell on this animal. However, she does not have a very good sense of eyesight. She can see, but it's not the best eyesight in the world. And so that's why you see Katie making sure she doesn't fall off the table. That's just our way of protecting her because she can't really tell those edges very well like you and I can. But what an armored, amazing, incredible beauty. You know, the funny thing about her is she's always getting in trouble because we're always catching her on her shell phone.
Oh, no.
Do you get that? Shell phone? I tried to be funny. Again, so here in America, in the USA, we do have an armadillo species that is native here. It's called the 9-banded armadillo. They're going to be much bigger. They're going to be green in color. Not the prettiest animal in the world. I love them. They're cool. And they're very loud in terms, not the noise that they make, but they're loud moving through the forest. You can tell an armadillo's coming an hour before it gets to you because it's trouncing through the woods. But here's the craziest thing about armadillos is that they carry a disease that only one other animal carries, and that's us, the human being. It's called leprosy. And leprosy is a disease that was really around. It's still around, but it was really popular long ago, back in the medieval times, and pieces of your skin would fall off. It was not a good disease. There are treatments now for it, so if you get it, it's not doomsday like it used to be. But this one right here, the 3-banded, they don't carry it. The 9-banded, though, the one that's here in America, does. So if you ever come across an armadillo in the wild, especially a dead one, don't touch it, don't poke at it, because theoretically, you might be able to contract leprosy. That's crazy. And you don't want leprosy. Kind of a neat fact, which is pretty crazy. The final thing I love about armadillos, when they have babies, always have 4. And they're always identical twins, quadruplets. Yeah, and it's usually all female or all male. That's a weird little fact.
That is weird.
I think. The 9-banded for sure. I'm pretty sure it's the same with these guys. I could be wrong on the 3-banded, but the 9-banded, it is true.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, pretty close down. What a neat animal. Isn't that she awesome?
So cool.
Just love her. Just love her.
Can I tell you my favorite fact?
Oh, yeah, Katie's got another fact she wants to tell you.
Okay, so look how tiny she is. One of their ancestors, called the Glyptodon, was the size of a VW Beetle. They lived in South America, and they were literally the size of a car.
Wow.
Can you?
Glyptodon, look that up. It's super cool.
Oh, it's so cool. Can you imagine seeing an armadillo the size of a car?
That is crazy. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to see one. That sounds kind of scary.
Right? Exactly. And maybe they still exist in the deep rainforest. Who knows?
That's awesome. So I got a couple of questions for you here from some people. Do they ever, Riley wants to know, do they ever like shed that outer shell or anything like that?
No, so that's going to grow along with them. I mean, you may see little, like our skin comes out, you might see little pieces here and there, but that's going to grow along with them. Just like a turtle, they are attached to that shell. So their spinal cord is on the shell, and that's going to, not in her, but on turtles, but they're attached to that shell. So she cannot leave that shell back and forth if she wants to. She's stuck with it.
Okay. And how did you get Bandy? How did she get to the zoo where she's at now?
Yeah, so Bandy also, just like the kookaburra, came to us from another facility. We adopted her in.
Okay.
And she's actually what we call an SSP animal, stands for Species Survival Program Animal, which basically means their numbers out in the wild aren't the best, and so there are some programs around the country that are breeding them, as I told you earlier, to kind of keep their numbers up and in good shape.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they were actually just recently rediscovered in nature, like in the 60s. They were thought to be extinct and then recently refound, which is kind of cool.
Okay, nice. And is Bandy kind of as big as they get, or do they get any bigger? Someone was asking how big do they get.
So in terms of southern banded armadillo, you might see a little bit of a size difference, but that's about it. They're a pretty small armadillo. They're not the smallest in the world. I believe that the smallest is a fairy armadillo. Yeah, pink fairy. Look them up. They are one of the weirdest, most adorable little animals you've ever seen. But yeah, and then there are some that get bigger than her as well, including that 9-banded I just told you about.
Wow, cool. Nice. Well, I think it's time we start asking some of our own questions here to you guys to see how much you learned about the armadillo. So I'm launching the poll now, but I have a feeling, again, you're probably not going to be able to see it. So I'm just going to read the questions out loud one more time. So this is our last set of questions. And number 1 is going to be, why does an armadillo roll into a ball? And is that A, because it's fun to roll around as a ball? B, for protection? C, to mimic a bowling ball? Or D, to scare their predators? All right, and number 2, what are armadillos' scales made from? Is it A, glass, B, paper, C, wood, or D, keratin, which is the same stuff your fingernails are made out of? And then our last question is, true or false? Armadillos are reptiles closely related to turtles.
They do have a shell.
They do have a shell. All right, so hopefully a bunch of you have put in your answers. I see a ton of great responses coming in. Nice job, people. Looks like we do have a lot of correct answers. Nice. All right, so Jeff, why don't you help me answer these? Why does an armadillo roll into a ball?
So it is fun to roll around. I mean, who hasn't, somersaulted through the yard? I know I certainly have. But armadillos have a much better reason that they do it. It's for protection, so they can hide from their predators.
Nice. So if you said B for protection, you were correct.
Yep.
Awesome. And then for the second question, what are armadillo scales made from?
So yes, same thing as your hair and your fingernails, keratin. Keratin's everywhere in nature. It's so awesome.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty weird to think about your fingernails being on an animal.
Yeah, right?
Awesome. And then number 3, true or false? Armadillos are reptiles closely related to turtles.
Yeah, so even though it's got a shell, it's not a reptile, it's a mammal. So that's false.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty wild. Yep. So let's see. I think I forgot to go to our next slide here while we were talking about the armadillo. Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
I know. Look at that little face. Don't you love it?
I do love these little armadillos. They're so fun. Cool. So that was our final animal. Let's see what we have next here. Oh, I just wanted to let all the kids who are on here know that if you had fun today and you want to, and thank you, Katie, if you had fun today and you want to keep learning about animals or see all the fun activities that ZooMontana recommends, you should definitely go to the ZooMontana website and click on the Learn tab, or go to this website that's listed on this screen. And you can go scroll down to Teacher Resources is what it's called, and you'll find a bunch of fun things to do.
The banner, so the website, the banner itself says learning resources now. So look for that resources button and that'll get you what you need.
Perfect. Yep. So you can go on there, check out some really fun things to do. There's some cool activities on there that you can do at home. And there is also like coloring sheets and things like that. So highly recommended. I even downloaded a couple of the coloring sheets for myself because they were really fun. So
love it.
Awesome. So let's talk really quickly just about what is happening coming up. So as most of you know, we're embarking on these virtual adventures every Thursday, at least through April, probably going into May as well, depending on how long all this stuff lasts. And guess what's happening next week? We are going to one of my favorite countries, which is Costa Rica.
So many amazing birds in Costa Rica.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you would just be obsessed with Costa Rica, Jeff.
Can't wait to learn.
Not to mention all the little turtles that crawl up on the beach and all that cool stuff too. Yeah, lots of neat stuff to learn about. So if you want to sign up to go to Costa Rica with me next week, then you just want to go to awesomeadventures.com and click on the virtual adventures banner that pops up right at the top of the page. And you can see any of our old webinars there, Yellowstone, Alaska, and then this one will be posted there tomorrow as well. Jeff will be posting this one on the ZooMontana site too, on the YouTube. And yeah, and you can sign up for any future webinars. So Costa Rica registration will be on there, okay? So hope you'll be able to join us next Thursday. And I think we've reached our final slide, Jeff. This is crazy.
I know, right? Thank you to Miss Katie for her great skills at handling those animals. And the biggest thing I want to mention to you guys, check us out on our website, our Facebook page, ZooMontana. And those of you that wherever you're living, remember your local animal shelter, your local zoo, or your local sanctuary, they need help right now. So if you have the opportunity to help them out in some way, shape, or form, please do so.
Nice. Perfect. Yeah, and the zoo is awesome, guys. It's not open right now, right, Jeff? Like you can't go to the zoo.
Unfortunately, it's killing us. So as soon as all this craziness ends, we'll make sure we open those doors as soon as we can.
Yeah, everyone's looking forward to getting back to the zoo. I encourage you all, whether you're here in Billings or somewhere else that has a zoo, to get to the zoo as soon as it opens again, because these zoos need people like you to support them. So yeah, and if you have a hankering and you want to go donate to your local zoo or to ZooMontana, just get on their website. There's always a donate button that you can go click on to donate to any zoo. So I encourage you to do that. I'm going to go do that today for ZooMontana because I love ZooMontana. And yeah, I hope some of you will do that too. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's been so fun learning about all of these different animals. Thank you to Jeff and Katie. You guys are an awesome team. And I hope to see all of you guys in Costa Rica next week. You included, Jeff. I hope you'll join too.
I'll join in.
Awesome. Anything else you want to say, Jeff?
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I love having an audience out there that listens, and hopefully you learned a little bit more about animals, even though it was fun to learn. Go get on that internet and go search out some of those cool animals we talked about. There are some amazing facts out there that you guys will just be blown away by. So go out and do some research.
Nice. I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for taking a walk on the wild side with us. It was awesome. Hope to see you in Costa Rica next Thursday, and I can't wait to get to the zoo again, Jeff. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.